Well, hello everybody, and thanks for so many of you popping in already, and thank you for all the thoughts and the prayers and the cards, text messages, emails, phone calls for from so many of you. So I just totally appreciate it, and lots of good friends in here already tonight, and um, so if that could actually pop this in earlier. I'm not sure if she's going to be in here tonight. Jake is here. Teresa's here. Julie, Shawnee, Carol, Craig. How's Debbie? I hope you guys are doing okay. And I think I said Carol already. Um, Unmanned Urban Orchard. Don't you just love that? Thank you for the email. I appreciate that. Steph, hello. When you sent that video, it was perfect timing. I just needed to see you and listen to you. So thank you so much for that. Anne is here from Little Frenchie in Big Texas. So hello, Anne. Tell the girls I said hi. Her husband Jake is in here. John, hello. And Cheryl is here. I know, I feel like, oh, Debbie's good. I feel like I have been gone for so long. And I mean, I missed one live last Monday. Thanks, Steph. I know, I saw that. Teresa's been a member for quite a while now, and now she's changed her YouTube handle because it used to just say Teresa S, and I always knew who it was. But when she sent me the email today, it had Unmanned Urban Homestead, and I thought that is awesome. So I'm glad you're in here. Oh, and Lazy Bunny is here. Also another member. Steph and Craig and Carol and just all kinds of members in here. Anne is in here, and she is a member also. So thank you so much for that. And I have to tell you honestly, it's been a hard 2 weeks. I mean, a hard 2 weeks. And Anne is here. Hi, Anne and Henry Leslie Vermont. Hello, how are you? But I appreciate all my friends checking up on me and making sure I was okay. And that was just so kind of you. If you don't know, we lost our grandson, Christian, 27 years old. And it has been tough, out of the blue, just a phone call, and I'm finding a flight to get back to home to South Dakota. Because I was born and raised in South Dakota, and my grandkids all live in South Dakota. And so it was a tough time. But I appreciate it. I don't want to talk anymore about that because I won't make it through my half hour then, okay? But I do appreciate all the prayers and all the reaching out. And my background, now this is not here in Arizona. This is what I usually do in Wyoming. And I have a 5-shelf system. And right behind me, right there, those are onions that I start from seed. And then when they're that tall, I usually cut them off. I give them a haircut. And up above is some garlic. But I'm going to show you a little video of what it usually looks like at my house when I am starting seeds for the springtime. Now, I live in Arizona, so I have gardens both places now. And in fact, I just replanted all of my raised beds because all the broccolis and different kinds of cauliflower, the lettuces, they were all done. We had harvested. Now I'm still harvesting some of the broccoli that is not in the raised bed that I planted later that are around the raised bed and the Brussels sprouts and things like that. But a nice thing about, that when you live in our part of Arizona, it doesn't snow here. And so you start in October and you have your first stuff, everything grows, and then you have time to plant again. And so that's what I was doing. I was planting more cauliflowers and broccolis and things like that. And then that'll be out in a video this week too. But I'm just going to show you what it looks like when I start seeds. So this part is I like to start my potatoes early. So I started them inside in great big buckets. And I like to start a lot of herbs each year that won't overwinter because Wyoming is too cold. So I like those. I just have to start over and over again. And these are rhubarb that I save some of the seeds. And those are my onions that need a haircut. And some more herbs, basils and sages and all that. And then I always plant garlic in the ground, but I also like planting it um, just inside and then bringing that outside. And that works really good, especially with soft neck garlic. And so that's just kind of my system right there. And I have multiple ones of those. And they're usually 5 tiers because it just seems to work really good for me. And I just hook the shop lights in between. And as the plants get bigger, I just raise them. And sometimes I have to adjust shelves. But you kind of get the idea of all these things that you can get ready, start planting now so that when it's springtime, you are just right there and it's easy to just harden them off and then plant them outside. So it's just one of those things to get ready for springtime because when we go back, I have to be ready for springtime too. So there are things I'm going to do before we leave. Like last year, I showed how to start growing potatoes, and I grew them in a box. I chitted them first, and then I grew them in a box, and then I planted them when I got out there, and I just lined that box so it wasn't leaking because I had to bring it back in the truck, and I certainly can't have it leaking in Joe's truck. So it's just one of those things that you can do, and it's a perfect time to get those seeds. Now you can order them online. You can buy seeds locally, but make sure you look and see if you have a seed library in your town where you can get those seeds for free. Or maybe master gardeners are having something that they're offering free seeds. Look at your extension office. And Cheryl, thank you so much. And Anne, thank you so much for that. You guys are just fabulous. And Donna is here. Hello, Donna. And Doug. Hello. Please tell Shelly that I said hi too. And so I'm just scrolling through. I don't want to miss anybody. But I'm sure there are a lot of you that are starting seeds inside right now too. You've gone through the seed catalogs. You start getting them, and Learn to Grow 2023. Oh yeah, seed libraries. We have a seed library back home in Gillette, and in the newspaper it said that here in Yuma they're going to start a seed library at the library also, and so I am excited about that. I love starting plants when it's cold and wintry outside, and it just makes it not such a bad winter sometimes because across the country it has been crazy with the weather. When I was back in South Dakota, most of the days were cold, but then all of a sudden one day it was 60 degrees. The next day when I'm flying out, the high was going to be about 30. And they're supposed to just get socked with some cold weather, and Rapid City is supposed to have up to 12 inches of snow this week. And so that will just shut the whole town down again. So why not have some seeds growing in your in your house so that when it's time, you're ready for that. Now, one of the things that, good, Henry Leslie, Vermont is starting their seeds soon. Awesome. I'm going to start 2 kinds of tomatoes tomorrow. I've been going to direct sow, but it keeps dropping below 40. 1 or 2 nights a week. Yeah, see, it's a tough thing. It's, you have to make your own little couches or little mini greenhouses so that if it gets cold those nights, they can make it through those cold nights, because it is that time of the year that it's nice and then all of a sudden it's about freezing or it's below freezing. And those cold winds can really just be a killer on those vegetables when they're so tiny. Even the brassicas, it can be hard on them when it gets that fluctuation and there's such a small plant right then. Hardneck Farms, how are you? Fixing dinner and listening. What are you having for supper? See, Craig, he's back in South Dakota. Wednesday, -8. It is a crazy weather. There you go. You can see plants growing no matter the weather. That's right. It can be very uplifting. One of the things I was talking to a new couple that moved in down here in Arizona, and they're snowbirds, so they're going to go back and forth, right? But this is their first year of being snowbirds, and she said that she really felt that she was almost getting clinically depressed because of the weather. It was just dragging on and dragging on, and where they're from, it has just been cold and cold and cold. Hello, Todd. Oh, just a second. I thought I clicked it hard enough, but I did not. Todd, how are you? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Kathy, how are you? Now remember, if you type channel, then Nightbot will put your channel up there. It will find you and pop it on so everybody can see. And do you keep track on a spreadsheet when you plant? I don't keep track on a spreadsheet, but that's a good idea. But I have notebooks. And I have notebooks from all these different years so I can look on what I think worked good based on the weather, the temperatures, what things are easy to start by seeds, things I want to change, things that I'm really happy with. I like just writing those in books, but a spreadsheet would be very good. My brother is a whiz at spreadsheets, and so that would be very easy for him to do. I mean, I can use Excel and I can do different things, and I know how to know some things, but he's like a whiz. And what would take me a few hours, he could probably do in 20 minutes. So I should ask him, John, about that. And see, Henry Leslie Vermont wrote channel, and see how Nightbot just pops them up. So that is awesome. If you do it too soon, like the next one is Anne, she probably did it too soon. So Anne, if you will type it again, it will do it for you. My grandson Liam has another channel called Rings Abroad, SMTV. He designs monster trucks. Fun channel for any age monster truck fans. Oh, how fun. You know, every year, several times a year actually, back in Wyoming, they have those big monster trucks, and they have them in the Civic Center, and it is just craziness. And people just pile in to see those big trucks. So it is awesome. Jeannie, hello. Thank you so much. It's good to see you guys in here. And Ange is here. Ange, how are you? Hugs, you know. And so, okay, so Anne did it this time, and then right after that it does it. If you do it too soon in between people, then Nightbot has a hard time doing that. Oh, Jake is back. He is driving and listening. Please be careful while you're driving. So, what am I doing right now, garden-wise? So I have my raised beds. I pulled all of those broccolis, cabbages, no, not cabbages, because the cabbages I planted later, they're in the ground. But the two different kinds of cauliflower, I did the big white cauliflower like I always like, and then one that's called cheddar cheese, because it is the color of cheddar cheese. I think it tastes the same. I really couldn't tell that much different, but they make huge heads, and I like that. And so, but I had harvested them, and I even let some of the asparagus broccoli, which is a weird name, but it doesn't make quite as big of heads, but it has really long stems before it has the broccoli on top, which are very, very tender. And I guess it probably reminded people of asparagus, and so it's called asparagus broccoli. It was very tasty. I was really impressed with it. And I did have some of them going to seed. The bees were everywhere. But then I just decided I am just pulling those out because I have these other plants to go in there. And so that's what I did. And everybody's saying hi to everybody. I love that always. And I have some spaces left because I pulled up my the last of my Chinese cabbage, which if you have not tried Chinese cabbage, it is fabulous. The nice thing about that, before it makes those big heads, way bigger than what you'd ever find in the store, those leaves are so tender and sweet. Every time I was in the garden, I was just breaking a leaf off and just eating it right in the garden. And so that's one of those things that I am always going to grow in my garden from now on. I just really loved the flavor. Every time somebody was over to our house, try some of this Chinese cabbage. It didn't taste like cabbage. When it gets older and makes the ball and is firmer, it tastes more like a cabbage. It's not as sweet, but those young leaves are just amazing, and they just grow so fast. So I have a space right there. And when I redid my raised beds, I put broccolis, 2 different kinds of cauliflowers. I put in green onions, just bunching onions that will grow real fast, so that they'll probably even catch up and be able to harvest before my great big onions that I'm growing. And and I also planted some carrots in those. And actually the carrots were started in cells, and so they're already started, and the carrots were about this big. But they'll be fine and they will grow, and I will have that. But I did see in my gardens that have my banana trees, which, side note, all 3 of my bananas that I planted last year, now all 3 of those banana trees have bananas growing on them. And so that was nice. Oh, Doug and Shelley are leaving. Good night. Thank you for stopping in. I'm sorry I missed yesterday's live. We just didn't get back in time so that we could watch it. So I hope you have a good weekend. I will catch up on some videos that I owe you for. Anne says that she's going to try Chinese cabbage. It is amazing. What do I think of Chinese cabbage in buckets? I think it's totally a great thing to do. They grow very easily, and they're just a beautiful plant in its own right. Just looking at the plant is beautiful. It's just got all those different colors of green and the white, and it is just fabulous. The bananas that you planted to make a tree out of are now growing bananas. That is true. Oh, no. If you're talking about those bananas that I was doing that testing, no, they have not done anything other than mold all over the top of the soil. So I scraped that all off, and they haven't done anything. I did a video because I didn't believe a video that had 10 million views that you could grow a banana tree by putting a whole banana, in the soil. So far, no banana. But I am going to pull them out and do a little clip this week, and you can see if there's any roots, because I don't believe there is. So we'll see. Hello. I thought that you had probably just typed that in at the very beginning before I started, and then I'm glad to see you back. I'm totally excited about the bananas. I do wish that we had warmer nights, because this has been a cold winter in Arizona, which is not cold compared to what most people are having. But usually in Yuma, you have 2 weeks of winter, and it's the first part of January. And then after that, you're in 70s and 80s. Well, it's been 60s and a rare 70s. Today was 74 or 76. It was really nice today. But it's interesting that how it changes, because we've had some cool weather. And in fact, it was almost borderline that I thought it was really going to frost. It didn't, but I could definitely tell it on some of the young plants. The older plants, it didn't seem to affect at all. So it's interesting how we adapt to different climates. But what are some of the things I'm going to start down here? Now, in Wyoming, I have a lot of apple trees in the ground. And most of those apple trees, not all of them, but probably 80% of them, I grafted. I started with rootstock, and I bought scions, which is sticks that are from last summer's growth, and you can graft them together and you tape them. A lot of times I'll put beeswax around them, and then you root them, and then they grow into a tree. Now, both the rootstock and the scions are up in price this year. But when I started looking at apple trees, I basically just like whips, which is just a rootstock, a scion, and the scion has grown for a while. So it could be, 5 feet tall. Does it have side branches? It's just called a whip. And people are selling those from anywhere from $25 to $35 just for those. And then short little trees are selling for $35 to $55. I mean, not short, but like 4 feet tall trees, 6 feet trees. And so I'm going to be real interested when like apple trees and pear trees start coming into the nurseries this year, and just how much they're going to pay for. You're going to have to pay for them. So that is going to be interesting. Who is going to eat them when you go back to Wyoming? Actually, I am going to cut those branches off, those stalks off because it comes up like this. It has a big male flower, and it comes up like this, and as it's pollinating the female flowers, the weight gets too much and they droop over like this. And if they're still green, I'm cutting them off and taking them back with me, because you buy green bananas in the store and those have been shipped up to the United States, and they have to turn, from green to yellow. So I'm just going to take them with me. And hopefully we will have some very warm nights, and it can just really they can just grow and grow and grow. But I'm taking them with me. I'm not leaving them here. Some of my neighbors think I should leave them here so they can just come over. But I have been babying those banana trees, and I want to eat the bananas. So I'm sure I'll give some of them to my friends that are down here, but I'm not just going to leave them on the trees, because one, I don't want people in my yard stepping in my gardens, and I want the bananas. And so my first one has about 60 some bananas on it. The second one that's started coming up has 1, 2, 3 rows of bananas that I can see so far, but it hasn't come all the way up and got heavy enough for me to see all the bananas it will make. And the other one's just starting. So I can't actually see bananas yet because it hasn't pushed up out of the tree yet far enough. We have not gotten any bananas in the last 2 years because of the freezing temperatures, hoping they do better in the greenhouse this year. Yeah, see, I was really considering literally making a little greenhouse around those that I could take on and off. And so we'll see how the bananas do by the time we leave. Otherwise, next year, that's what I'm going to do. But usually our winters are much warmer. And so, and the nights will be 50 degrees. And so we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to watch that. Carol says, last week had a dusting of snow here in Tucson. I saw pictures on Facebook of the snow in Tucson, Arizona. And it was just like, what? It is February and you are having some snow. It is just crazy. Fried green bananas. I have not had that before. That would be interesting. I have to Google some recipes like that. You have to cut off the tree to get them to ripen. I know that they don't ripen, but they're not big enough yet either. And so I don't want to take any of them off yet. Okay, so I planted my 3 banana trees. So they're going up here. And then they made pups. So each of them has 3 banana trees that are almost as big as the mother banana tree, right? And they're just coming out from there. And then it's making little tiny baby pups that are about anywhere from a foot. One of them is probably 2.5 feet tall. But once you have that banana, then you cut the whole tree down, because it is never going to make bananas for you again. And so I'm just waiting for the perfect time. But those bananas aren't big enough yet, so I am not cutting them down yet. Hey, Randy, how are you? Hope you are doing well. Tough couple weeks, but every day is better. Yeah. I need to grow bananas. That's right, Julie. You need to grow bananas. Go through that many. And it's interesting. One of those big banana bunches, you can have 60, 80 bananas on them. It can weigh 120 pounds. It literally gets heavy and it just cascades over. And so it's interesting to watch them grow. And it's my first time I have grown banana plants, but I've never gotten bananas from them. And so I'm just totally excited about the bananas. And everybody's saying hi to Wendy and everybody. How about eating? Well, these kind are supposed to be just like ones that you get in the store. At first, I didn't think they were, but then the more research I did on those specific ones that I got from Home Depot, sometimes they say they're not going to be quite as big. Other sites I went to said that they will be as big as the ones in the grocery store. So that will be interesting. How about eating the banana peel? I've never eaten a banana peel. I usually put my banana peels under my rose bushes. I chop them up because the rose bushes like them. I don't know. Yes, that banana tree only makes bananas one time. And so what you do is you're taking the bananas off of there, you're cutting that off because it's already made pups, other trees right from its base. So like every one of my banana trees that I planted last year, 3 of them, all have 3 around them that are basically pretty much fully grown. And so next year, I should literally have 3 bundles from each of those. So I should have 9 bundles of bananas, plus the other pups that will grow up by next year. It is just crazy how it just keeps going and going and going. Now, other things, I will start chitting my potatoes. I have some that are on the ground. I have ones that I chitted that are in a big bucket that I'll probably get not huge potatoes, but some potatoes before we go back home. And so I'll chit those potatoes because I don't have enough time once I get back. So I have to do things that I can start. I'm going to do those apple scions. I ordered some rootstock and some scions. And I'll do a video on when I'm putting those together to make a tree. And some of the options, if you're just using the little bud, if you're using the whole scion, how many can you get off of the scion that's 12 inches long? There's a lot of different things. And the rest of them that I don't start on rootstock, I will just keep in the refrigerator. And when I get home, I will graft them onto some of my trees so that I have multiple kinds of apples in each one. And so that's something you can do. But if you're wanting to get scions, to graft onto your trees that you have right now, you need to do it right away or you won't be able to find any. They will be completely sold out all across the country because people start ordering them in February, and by about mid-March, they're stopping shipping them, and they'll be all sold out all over the place. But if you want some websites, like one of my favorite ones is Southern Culture Orchards and Nursery, Larry Stevenson. And he has a Facebook page, and that's how you order from him. Ones that I have ordered from lots and lots of times is Maple Valley Orchards, Big Horse Creek Farm, and Purvis Nurseries. So those are ones, but like Fesco has rootstock and scion wood you can order. Cummings does. So, but send me an email if you want the links, and I'll type those all in there for you. And Anne says you should do gardening classes. I have done gardening classes many, many times in Wyoming. And in fact, if you go back to some old videos of mine, I use the PowerPoints from some of my classes. And so you can go through those too. We need a banana garden tour. I'll do an update when I do how I changed, redid my raised bed. So I'll do that. Can I get cuttings from fruit trees and graft them onto existing trees? Yes. So this is a perfect time in the year. It used to always be that they always said December, January, February for taking the scions off of your existing trees or your neighbor's trees. There are some studies that you could even stretch that a little bit farther and still graft, and the graft will still hold. So you want to cut the branches that are new from last summer. That's what you want to do. And so you want to take cuttings anywhere from 6 to 12 inches long. I like them to be anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/4 inch, 3/16, right in there. I've had much more success. And then you can just graft it onto the rootstock. And when you buy rootstock, you can say what side you want. If you're grafting it right onto a tree, you just want to get a branch that's pretty close to the same size to graft it onto. Now, on a 12-inch piece of scion, depending on the amount of buds that are on there, you could get anywhere from 4 to 6 little sections, because you have to have a good bud, and graft. And so you can put multiple kinds of apples on one tree. Blue, how are ya? Thanks for stopping in. I just watched one of her her lives just the other day, and so that was great fun seeing her. But I will, I hope that answered your question. Can I get cuttings from a fruit tree and graft them onto an existing tree? You just have to apple to apple, pear to pear, cherry to cherry. There are some exceptions on certain varieties that can be a little bit like you could graft a pear onto a hawthorn tree because they have enough genetics that will match it. And so people do that sometimes. If it's a stone fruit like a peach, a plum, a pear, not a pear, just stones. Depending on what the rootstock is, a lot of times you can graft multiple different things on there. But it's kind of fun when you're grafting and they're flowering at different times, because like with apples, you have earlies, you have mids, you have late flowering. And so if you're grafting those 3 different kinds onto one tree, you just have all these continuous flowers, which is kind of fun. I always suggest that if you don't have a crab apple, make sure that one of your neighbors have a crab apple, because it will just help with how many apples you get, because crabs are such good pollinators when those bees are going back and forth, and a lot of times crabs will flower for longer. And so it's just a bonus. So you don't necessarily have to have one in your yard, but if somebody down the street has crab apple, or your neighbor next door, it will just increase the amount of apples that you have. Wayne, hello, how are ya? And I've done some classes on grafting back in Wyoming, and it is just amazing. People just get so excited that they can have multiple kinds of apples on one tree, or multiple kinds of pears on one tree. It is fabulous. And it's a great way, even if you want to start your own trees, you can get so many different kinds of scions, apple scions, that you could never find in a nursery or a box store. And so basically your rootstock will probably cost you anywhere from $4 to $6 for that rootstock. And you get to decide if you want what size, standard, semi-standard, a dwarf. In Wyoming, we never grow dwarfs because they can't withstand our temperature changes. And besides, why would you want a dwarf when it only lasts 10 to 15 years? And then you got to do it another tree. So I just don't do it. Wayne wants to know if we're nice and toasty, warm in Arizona. Today it was 74, 76. It was beautiful out. No wind, no clouds. In fact, I thought it was hot. We were doing some stuff outside, and I told Joe, I think it's hot out here. Crab apple jelly. Oh, it's so amazing. We have a neighbor that is, she's 3 houses up from us. Nope, 4 houses up from us. In her front yard, she has the most beautiful crab apple. It's extremely dark red apples. They're very large. And so she's let me pick them different times, and I've made crab apple jelly, and just fabulous tasting. I mean, crab apples are tart, and I love them. And so it's just great fun to make crab apple jelly. And you can mix different apples. You can get the juices off your apples, and you add crab apple juice in there, and it just makes a fabulous jelly. Second, in the midst of the street of it, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruits each month. Yes, that is from Old Testament. Awesome. Oh, and Glenda's here. Hi, Glenda. How are you? Always such useful information from you, Sandi. My dad's apple tree has never done very well, and now I think we may get a crab apple to help. You should. You will be amazed at the difference, because it's all a matter of pollination a lot of times. Now, sometimes where you live, you can have those late spring frosts, and that can really affect how many apples you're going to have. But a crab apple will just definitely help, just because the length of their blooming, and because all apples, a lot of times when people buy apples, they'll tell them, well, you need 2 apples. Well, what if you bought an early blooming apple tree and a late blooming apple tree, and they never bloomed at the same time? How many apples are you going to really get? Not as many. So you just have to know what that apple tree does. And you can easily, any kind of apple, you can just Google it, and it will tell you if it's a late, a mid, or an early blooming apple tree. That's why crab apples are so good, because they bloom for so long. Nancy, hello. How are you? Now look at here. I'm already at 37 minutes. I'm going to let you go. Everybody, thank you so much for stopping in. Thank you for the well wishes and the cards and the emails and the calls and everything like that. I just so appreciate it. And our family appreciates it too. Oh, yeah. Teresa says that they've lost many blossoms to late frost in the past. Oh, it's happened to us too. The tree will just be filled with blooms, and then we just get that killing frost, that cold, and it is like we're only getting some apples. It's just going to happen that way. Can I say something really quick? Of course you can, Ange. And just type away. We will stay on. Blue, you're so sweet. Thank you so much, Anne. And Anne too. Have a great week. God bless. Stay safe, and love you all. I'm going to stay on for just a little bit, because Angie says that there was something she wanted to say. And so okay, here it goes. Angie says, I just wanted to say thank you for all your prayers. Thank you for everyone who reached out to me. This is a great community. Angie is my daughter, and Angie is Christian's mom that we lost. And so thank you for all the love. Seriously, thank you. And you guys are just beyond amazing. And I have just really appreciate it. I know Angie has appreciated. Craig is in here too. That is Christian's grandpa. And I know he appreciated everything that everybody did. And so I'm going to let you go, because now I'm not going to make it very much longer. So thanks, everybody. I hope you have a very blessed week. And keep all of our family in your prayers, because we could really use it for a while. So everybody, I love you. And thank you so much. I got to go fix Joe some supper now. Okay. Bye, everybody.